On my birthday, I got a message from my dead grandfather. Inside was a single line that made my whole family go pale. My grandfather, Walter, died 6 months before my 29th birthday. He wasn't the kind of man who demanded attention. He lived in the same modest house for decades, drove an old pickup truck that rattled every time it started, and spent family gatherings sitting quietly with a cup of coffee, while everyone else filled the room with noise. Most people thought he wasn't paying attention. They were wrong. Grandpa noticed everything, especially when it came to family. After he died, everyone gathered for the funeral. My parents, my older brother Ryan, my aunt Lisa, my uncle Mark, cousins, and relatives I hadn't seen in years all showed up. The funeral was respectful. The weeks afterward weren't. Grandpa had accumulated a considerable estate over his lifetime, several rental properties, investment accounts, and a large piece of farmland outside town. Before long, inheritance became the main topic of conversation. Nobody said it directly, but everyone was calculating their future share. I wasn't. For years, I'd visited Grandpa every week. I helped with groceries, drove him to appointments, and spent evenings listening to stories he'd already told 3 times. Money never came up between us. A month after his death, the family met with his attorney. The will was read. Most of the estate went to my father, aunt, and uncle. Ryan inherited Grandpa's truck. I received $5,000. That was all. I wasn't upset. Grandpa could leave his money to whoever he wanted, but what caught my attention was everyone else's reaction. My father looked relieved. My aunt smiled. My uncle immediately started discussing future plans. On the drive home, nobody talked about Grandpa. They talked about property values. Over the next few months, family dinners became exhausting. My father argued about land management. My uncle discussed potential buyers. My aunt kept making plans based on money she hadn't even received yet. The person they claimed to miss slowly disappeared from every conversation. Then my birthday arrived. I spent the morning answering texts from friends and coworkers. Around noon, another notification appeared. The sender's name made my stomach drop. Grandpa. I stared at my phone. It was his old number. The same number I'd saved years earlier. For several seconds, I couldn't move. Then I opened the message. There was only one sentence. If you're reading this on your birthday, they never found the second will. I read it again, then again. My heart started pounding. 5 minutes later, another message arrived. This one included a document attachment. I opened it immediately. It was a scanned will. At the bottom was Grandpa's signature. Within an hour, I was sitting in the attorney's office. He carefully reviewed every page. He compared signatures, witness statements, dates, and official records. The room stayed silent for nearly 30 minutes. Finally, he looked up. This may be valid. According to the document, Grandpa had created a revised will 8 months before his death. But the will wasn't the shocking part. Attached to it was a letter, several pages long. In it, Grandpa explained that he had become concerned about pressure from family members regarding his estate. He named my father, my aunt, my uncle. He described conversations where they pushed him to change distributions. He documented dates, requests, and incidents where they attempted to influence his decisions. Reading it felt surreal. The quiet man who rarely argued had been keeping records the entire time. The revised will dramatically changed the inheritance. Most of the rental properties were transferred into a trust. I was named trustee. The shares allocated to my father, aunt, and uncle were significantly reduced. The attorney immediately began legal proceedings. Within days, my phone exploded. My father called constantly. Ryan suddenly wanted to spend time together. My aunt left emotional voicemails about keeping the family united. My uncle demanded answers. None of them asked whether Grandpa's concerns were true. None of them talked about the letter. They only cared about the revised will. Then the investigation uncovered something worse. The revised will had been legally filed before Grandpa died. Someone had removed related paperwork shortly after his death. There were access records, signatures, security logs. The evidence pointed directly to my uncle. The moment investigators confronted him, he blamed my father. My father blamed my aunt. Years of hidden resentment surfaced almost overnight. The 3 of them spent months turning on each other. I mostly stayed out of it. The documents spoke louder than I ever could. Almost a year later, the court officially recognized the revised will. Property transfers were reversed. Planned sales were canceled. The trust took control of the rental properties. My father lost most of what he thought he'd inherited. My uncle was removed from all estate involvement. My aunt received far less than she expected. None of them were ruined. They simply received exactly what Grandpa intended. Nothing more. That Christmas, nobody invited me to dinner. I stayed home instead. While sorting through a box of Grandpa's belongings returned by the attorney, I found an old birthday card with my name written across the front. Inside was one sentence. People show who they are when money shows up. I sat there looking at those words for a long time. Then I put the card back in the box and closed the lid. My phone stayed silent the rest of the night. For the first time since Grandpa died, the silence felt like justice.